Greetings and welcome to CopBLUE's What the F Over. Today we're going to be talking about body cameras, and this is something that generates all kind of hoopla about whether or not they work, whether or not they don't work, so on and so forth. One of my favorite things about body cameras in general are a lot of times when folks will come in and they'll make accusations against police officers. You can roll that beautiful beam footage, and what happens? You see that the officer was telling the truth. And a lot of times, especially since body cameras for everyone are still kind of a new thing, the agency that I was at, we were the first ones in our state to actually be 100% with using all of those, or using body cameras for every particular officer, which was great. So every patrol officer that we have, any interaction we have with the public, we videoed. There was a few problems at first because some people don't like to be recorded, which I kind of hate it, because everywhere you go, you're being recorded, you're being photographed. Everywhere you go into a bank, you go into a convenience store, you go into a grocery store, you're being videoed all the time. So just wanted to talk today a little bit about, some of the issues that surround the body camera issue, whether or not it's good, whether or not it's bad. Let's look at it from a perspective of a person's home and their right to privacy. Well, you call the police to your house for a domestic, for instance, and the officers, because they're going to be interacting with the public, going to push that button, they're going to walk inside your house. So that argument that you're having because the police have been called, well, I hate it for you. Your right to privacy for that particular incident, you don't have one. You don't have one. So whatever was going on in your house, whatever you're arguing about, guess what? It's a matter of public record. I'm not sure where people think when you call the police, whatever argument that you're having at the time that we're a witness to, that you have a right to have that suppressed that nobody else knows about. And it doesn't work that way. Taser, which I'm sure everybody's heard of Taser. Taser came out with an Axon system, which is a body camera system, which I loved it. When it first came out, it was R&D. We were the first agency in our state to use that system, and I thought it was great. Just for a lot of different reasons. I believe Taser's motto was that Taser protects life, and Axon was Axon protects the truth. And it does. However, I just want to throw this out to you. I like using Marcus Aurelius quotes because I think he was a really brilliant person. Way before, brilliant, way ahead of his time kind of person. Actually from a time when there were a lot of brilliant people. But one of the things that he said that kind of struck a chord with me when I was preparing my notes for this particular video was, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. And everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. So when an officer goes into a scene and they see something that's going on right in front of them, and that video is going at the same time. Now, the video system that Axon uses, I know because I've used it before, sees just like a human eye will. So it's going to see what you see. But here's the thing, what if your attention is on something else, and that, of course, that camera's pointed straight forward. Maybe your eyes are not pointed the same way that camera is. Of course, you don't have to turn your head to turn your eyes this way or not. I can actually remember a crime scene that I worked years ago. It was an aggravated assault and rape, and the woman was stripped of her clothing, and there was a bra that was actually hanging in the tree at this crime scene. It was about eye level, and myself and 4 or 5 other officers walked all around that scene, collecting evidence, photographing, so on and so forth. And we photographed that scene. It was right at dark, and then the next day when we had those photographs developed, we were going through the pictures and we thought, oh my gosh, what is that hanging in that tree? And it was a bra, and it happened to be the victim's bra. We never saw it, and we walked through that scene 2 dozen times. So sometimes there are things that you don't see. Well, that's great for that. In that particular instance, we were able to go back and recover this item. It wasn't necessarily super important because we had more than enough evidence as far as the rest of the case went. But every little bit helps. And when you're going back on your videos and you're looking at an incident, you can go back and see things that maybe you didn't see or refresh your memory. Now, a lot of people have problems with that. They don't want you to do that. They want you to write your report and not be able to go back and look at your video before the court case. So that they're trying to say, okay, did this officer forget this? Is he lying? It's ridiculous. That's pretty much what it comes down to. It's just ridiculous. Yet another way for someone to try and get out of doing something that they did, basically. And officers are going to miss stuff when they walk up to cars. It could be a gun. It could be, I mean, officers get killed almost every day, unfortunately. And, you know, it's by the gun they don't see. And as you go through with these Axon videos and these other video systems that you'll see and use, because there's a bunch of them out there, a lot of times when an officer goes back over the video footage that they took, they'll see safety things that, you know, well, this guy was over here, you know, fiddling around, reaching in his pockets, maybe he was hiding something, who knows. But that officer could realize, you know, they need to be a little bit more situationally aware. So basically, when it comes down to it, with the body camera issue in America, and everybody has one now, hopefully, or they're supposed to, do you think that there are going to be people that are going to be out there that say, oh, okay, it doesn't matter, the officer's camera can be, you know, modified or whatever, you're always going to have that. You know, I was in a church meeting, sitting next to a preacher, and the preacher held up his cell phone like this and said, these cameras right here have kept a lot of lies from being told. And, you know, I'm like, okay. I was like, well, sir, so, you know, every one of our officers wears a body camera. Oh, that ain't as good as this. Oh, so you're telling me that your cell phone camera is better than a body camera that the officers has running the entire time? That, you know, when you ride up on the, yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Here's the thing that they don't say. Here's the thing that a lot of times that the little clips that get out to Facebook, that get out to all kinds of social media don't show you the entire event. The entire event. They want to show you this much of an event that took that long. That much. Which is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Sadly, when you're trying to pitch a narrative about something, and there's all kind, and I'm not going to get into specific cases that have taken place where you see someone has done a horrible thing and then they end up getting shot or whatever. You don't ever see that. It's just like this person got shot and here's the police officer shooting. It doesn't show, you know, what led up to it. It just shows that one event. Now, are police officers wrong in doing what they do sometimes? Yes, we're only human. We're only human. We're going to make mistakes. Just like all of you do that aren't police officers are going to make mistakes. But here's the thing. The video is what it is. And it's just a perspective. It's just a perspective. One perspective. And you got to have the whole picture. Is video the savior of law enforcement today as far as protecting the truth? Yes and no. Yes and no. Here's my final thought on this. Police departments, police executives and internal affairs units and everybody else that uses videos to scrutinize officers, and you're not going to get me to say that police officers shouldn't be scrutinized to a point, because they should be. However, here's my issue with it. If you have a guy that comes in or a girl that comes in, and I had an instance, as a matter of fact, I had several instances like this when I worked, where we had a young lady come in, for instance, and say that the officer had touched her. Well, guess what? We looked at the video, nothing like, he never even laid his hands on her, besides put handcuffs on her. He never, in any way, was inappropriate. Here's what we should be doing. If we're going to use this same system with videos to police our police officers, which, like I said, I have no problem with that. In addition to that, if we're going to be doing that, we need to use that same system when someone from the public comes in and they tell a lie about a police officer. They file a false affidavit that says a police officer did this or that. When they're lying, they need to leave there in our shining little bracelet. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Unfortunately, a lot of our supervisors, and it could be, well, whomever, are way too busy pushing our guys under the buses versus, standing up for them. Listening to the whole thing, getting an entire perspective of it before you just throw him or her, whoever, under the bus. Don't get me wrong, like I said before, if we do something wrong, we should be punished, but at no time should an officer be absolutely thrown to the wolves without a thorough and complete investigation. And when a person comes in and they file a false report and they tell absolute unmitigated, just nothing that even resembles the truth, and tell lies about what a police officer's done, then they should be punished for that. Absolutely. It's like, well, you know, he told a lie. He was mad. I don't care. I don't care whether he was mad or he was glad or what he was. I don't expect people to be happy about getting tickets. I don't expect people to be happy about going to jail. I don't. I've yet to have one person in my 25 years of my career that was tickled about getting a ticket or going to jail. The whole fact of the matter is they've got to learn to accept responsibility when they screw up. But going out here and telling tales or lying or creating something that's just absolutely a departure from the truth is ridiculous, and people need to be held accountable for it. And that's what these video systems should be being out there for. You see it all the time, especially when people make accusations that a police officer said something that was untoward or awful or that never happened. So we'll just cut it off there. I could certainly go on and on about it, but if it's going to protect the truth, then let's protect the truth. The entire truth. Not just a little teeny bit of it, but all of it. As the time has come for people to be held accountable for what they do, just like the girls and boys in blue are held accountable. Thank you from CopBLue, and as always, be careful out there. Thanks.